Hold up. Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step. I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Double M Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
Puma El Gato.
And before we get into tonight's topic, y'all, please subscribe, share the video, like it, all that good stuff. It means the world to us small creators. What do we got going on tonight, my man?
Charles Oliveira stuns at UFC Rio, and he has a surprising call-out at the end. Let's talk about it.
So, if you guys won't go back and watch our video on Charles Oliveira versus Matus's Gamrot, we basically picked him, and we were right. We picked him, and we actually said, hey, he has a number of different ways to win. Better striker, better ground game. We touched slightly up on the submission stuff, and wouldn't you know it, he won by submission in round 2. Now, we did obviously state our concerns that this was a very quick turnaround, less than 3 months, actually, for Charles Oliveira. But listen, again, you know, if you look at the career that Charles Oliveira has had, he has so many spontaneously good victories over great competition, the Michael Chandlers, Dustin Poiriers, and the such, that to us, at least in the moment, before the fight actually happened, we believed he was going to be the winner, even though that was the concerning issue of the small turnaround window from his fight with Ilia Topuria. But listen, he looked great, got the submission win, and as my brother here said, he had a surprise call out at the end of the fight, and it's the BMF champion himself. And listen, I know that there's a lot of I was watching a couple different videos about people, basically all these dudes that are kind of circling each other around. Max Holloway obviously got defeated by Ilia Topuria. Charles Oliveira obviously got beaten by Volkanovski. And the reason I'm even bringing that up is because whenever we compare fighters, we like to have a common opponent in hand, right? To be able to say, hey, this is why I have this guy having a slight advantage over this other guy. Now, as far as the call-out, I think it's a good call-out. If I'm being honest with you, Charles Oliveira cannot call out and go fight Ilia Topuria and all that issue, given obviously how recently he got knocked out. So what's the next best thing when you're on a winning streak, which he is? You know, again, take away the Ilia Topuria loss, Charles Oliveira has a great number of wins under his belt. So he's unfortunately become one of those people that he can be champion. There's just a guy in the middle of him doing that unfortunately he's just not going to beat at this current moment in time. So with Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway, a potential fight, and in fact, I believe I saw a video earlier that it actually got leaked for, I believe, UFC 2 or 323, I think it was. It's basically confirmed. I believe there was a leak or something like that happened, basically confirming Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. But listen, we'll talk about that later. We'll get into that. As far as the fight itself, I think it's a great fight. I think both of these dudes bring a good amount of game to the table, experience to the table. They both have a lot of wars with a lot of different people. And with that being said, listen, I might get a little bit of hate for this. Even though both of these dudes are very, very loved, I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira. For the same reason that I've been going with Charles Oliveira over a lot of these other opponents. Max Holloway is a phenomenal finisher, great knockout artist, has a lot of that, very, very durable. But the one thing that I don't think Max Holloway would have a response for if it was implemented by Charles Oliveira, submissions and the grappling game on the ground. I'm not saying Max Holloway can't hold his own. I'm not saying he can't do well. But all due respect to Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira just, when he gets you on the ground, he's able to do that. Again, I've mentioned it a bunch of times. When he climbs on you like a spider, he just wraps you up in that web and he locks it in. I don't know if Max Holloway has a response for that. Now, if Charles Oliveira makes the mistake, which he made the exact same mistake with Ilia Topuria, which is why I brought it up, of trying to trade blows with Max Holloway is going to win. Max Holloway, not counting the Ilia Topuria loss, too good of a chin, too good of a striker. I don't think Charles Oliveira can hang with that. His best game plan is to take him to the ground, submission, or dominate him on the ground. I think if Charles Oliveira does try to go blow for blow with Max Holloway on the feet, I think it's going to be a big, big mistake. And I think he's handing over his advantages over to Max Holloway. If Charles Oliveira does that, Max Holloway is going to take the dub and remain BMF. But Charles Oliveira absolutely has more than a chance to win in my eyes. In fact, I'm favoring Charles Oliveira if he chooses to take him to the ground, submit him, and or dominate on the ground. I believe those are his keys to victory. Max Holloway's keys to victory: keep it on the feet, keep your distance, Charles Oliveira at a distance isn't as dangerous. If you can keep the distance, I think he could take that win. Kicks to the leg for sure. A lot of kicks to the leg. You should take a page out of Alex Pereira's book and just implement the leg kicks like no other, because if you could take away the base of Charles Oliveira, you could take away the grappling, you can take away a stand-up game very, very easy. So he should kick constantly to the legs, take those legs out, chop them down, and I think those are going to be the keys to victory for Max Holloway. What do you think about that, my man?
See, when you were talking about the leak earlier, I think it was more so that so Max Holloway was actually watching the UFC Rio card on his stream, and he actually did hear the call out from Charles Oliveira live, and Max Holloway was very receptive to it, and he was like, all right, if he wants the call out, let's make it happen. I don't want to wait until the UFC White House card, which is going to happen sometime in June or July of next year. So he's like, I want it as soon, but as realistically as possible. So probably 5-6 months down the line. He was like, I want to make this fight happen as soon as possible. So Max Holloway is very much in favor of this call out. He's like, all right, let's make it happen. Now, nobody realizes this because I took a little bit of research to look at both of these men's fight cards, their resumes as of late. And it turns out this fight actually happened. If anything, this is actually the sequel 11 years into the making. They fought once before, and you wouldn't believe it. Max Holloway actually beat him TKO in the second round. But to be fair to Oliveira, that was a result of a esophagus injury, which again, Max Holloway actually commented on a stream saying, you know what, me and Charles Oliveira actually do have a history with each other. We actually fought before, and he said from his team, it was an esophagus injury that caused him for him to bow out of the fight, which he said, I don't fully believe that, but I'm going to make sure that it's not going to be any sort of excuse this time. I'm going to make it a certified win column in mine against Charles Oliveira. And look, I like that fire out of Max. He said, all right, I won the first time, but you're saying it wasn't legitimate. I'm going to make it legitimate this time around. And if you're going to ask me, okay, Puma, who are you choosing, Oliveira or Max Holloway? I'm not going to lie. I'm picking Max in this. I'm picking Max in this hardcore. He has been holding on to that BMF belt as far as he can go. He's done it against Dustin Poirier. He's done it against Justin Gaethje. And if we're going to use Ilia Topuria as a barometer, I do think Max Holloway looked better against Ilia Topuria than did Charles Oliveira. And again, Charles Oliveira was trying to fight Ilia's game, which is a striking. And Max Holloway invited Ilia to stand and bang in the middle of the ring. And granted, Max Holloway, didn't end up not looking good in that. He ended up looking like the loser. But the fact that he was still trying to play Ilia's game and still hanging in there where Charles Oliveira didn't makes me think, I think Max Holloway is clinging onto this belt for dear life. And that's why I'm stamping my foot on the ground and saying Max Holloway is still going to be the BMF title holder come his second fight against Charles Oliveira. But what do you think about my reflection on that?
No, man, you made some great points. I completely agree that Max Holloway did look a lot better against Ilia Topuria than did Charles Oliveira. Completely agree on that. No arguments there. I do think that if, again, Charles Oliveira does choose to do the stand-up game with Max Holloway, I completely agree. He's going to fail. Max Holloway's the much, much, much better striker, hell of a chin. The only one in his entire career that's been able to crack the chin, Ilia Topuria, the same guy that knocked out Charles Oliveira. So I completely agree on those points. The only reason, and I'm truly hoping, and please, Charles, please, brother, dude, don't try and strike with the man. Take him down, wrestle him, submit him. You win. You'll be the new BMF champ if you do that. But if you choose to strike with the man, you're going to take the L. Listen, it's going to be a great fight. Everybody loves both of these guys. Again, I'm not mad at whoever wins. Both of these guys are phenomenal fighters, great fighters, and I'd love to see either one of these dudes win because I have a lot of respect for both of them. So I don't think, no matter what, I don't think anybody's going to lose. I think there's going to be a lot of respect between both of these guys. I think given both of their careers, both of their fight records, everyone that they fought, all the names that they have under their belts, I think these dudes, easy Hall of Fame fighters, all that. So I think these two dudes coming together and fighting for that BMF title, phenomenal fight. I'm here for it. Let's get it done. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.